Imagine flying 1,000 miles to watch your grown children renew their sibling vows to cherish each other forever, only to have them whisper, "Mama, you're not family anymore." That was the moment something wild and steel bright woke up in me, and 30 minutes later they were begging for grace they didn't deserve. I never feared airplanes until that morning in late April when clouds look like judgment. Southwest Flight 1928 was half lawyers on laptops, half spring break leftovers in hoodies. I clutched a shoebox tied with purple ribbon, inside two custom-etched champagne flutes engraved Harris Legacy, a gift for the people who had once called me Mom. My daughter, Angela, 43, lived in Chicago now. Marketing VP who treated brand pillars like scripture. My son Marcus, 40, coded startups in Austin and spoke in venture capital buzzwords. Both had called 6 weeks earlier, breathless with grand plans, a joint sibling celebration in Nashville. We've booked an historic mansion, Ma. It's black tie, influencer ready, super intimate. They wanted me to fly in, look radiant, take photos that proved their glitzy circle still honored roots. I said yes because a mother's hope is stubborn. So I rented an Airbnb near Centennial Park and spent the morning pressing creases out of a lilac sheath dress Jasper loved on me. Jasper died 3 winters ago, heart attack while salt shoveling a neighbor's porch. He would have told me, "Show up, Ronnie. Children find their way back when they see your steadiness." That thought hummed while my lift rolled past neon bars and bridal parties already tipsy at noon. The venue was a plantation-style estate, now rebranded Magnolia Haven Events. White columns, rented hydrangeas. I arrived an hour early, greeted by a clipboard girl whose smile cost extra. She waved me toward a side entrance. Family check-in. My chest loosened until Angela stepped through French doors, satin gown flawless, eyes iced over. "Mom," she said, voice sugar around razor blades. "We need a minute." Marcus followed. Designer tux barely buttoned, face set like he had just fired an intern. They guided me onto a veranda overlooking manicured lawns. No music yet, just wind clipping through boxwoods. Angela inhaled. "We decided it's best if you sit this one out." "Sit what out?" I asked, stupid with confusion. "The ceremony, the photos, the weekend, really." Marcus rubbed his neck like Wi-Fi lagged. "It's complicated, Mom," I stared, heartbeat galloping. "Explain." Angela's red lacquer nails flicked imaginary lint. "You're a lot. You still coupon, still talk about church dinners. That's not the brand we're curating. Sponsors are here." I laughed, a single disbelieving bark. "Sponsors?" "Baby, I changed your diapers." "We appreciate that," Marcus said, eyes darting, "but authenticity matters. You don't fit our narrative of self-made success." There it was. A verdict delivered in PR jargon. My breath left like air from a tire. "So you flew me down to unfamily me?" Angela shrugged. "We booked your return flight. There's a car waiting." Wind whipped my wig slightly askew. I steadied it and felt something snap, not loud but final, like a thread giving way in an old quilt. I pictured Jasper's face if he were here. Sorrow, then that slow, mischievous grin that meant they forgot who trained them. My pulse steadied. "Hand me my suitcase," I said. Marcus blinked. "Where will you go?" I smiled. A small secret thing. To handle business. I walked out the service gate, suitcase wheels rattling like distant drums. At the curb, a black SUV idled. Prepaid hush ride. I motioned the driver down, slipped $20 through the window. "I won't need you, baby." Then I dragged my bag 2 blocks to the edge of cell service and called the only number that mattered now. Aunt Daisy, Jasper's older sister, 82, Retired probate clerk who still ruled Detroit family gossip. She answered on the second ring. Ronnie, the sky saying trouble? Bigger than weather, I replied. You still keep our trust documents. Daisy never threw paper away. Faith, frugality, and maybe petty joy, she laughed. Of course. Jasper's living trust codicil signed last year. The one giving controlling interest to the eldest matriarch if heirs demonstrate willful neglect? That's the clause. Why? Because today neglect became public policy. Daisy whistled. Say less. I'll courier certified copies to your email now and file notice of amendment Monday. Love you, I whispered, ending the call before tears could claim the moment. Jasper had predicted possibilities. If they forget where they came from, you remind them. Paper trails beat guilt trips. I check the time. 35 minutes till ceremony. Plenty. Scrolling my phone, I opened the Trust's banking app. Daisy had added me as co-trustee last year and toggled distributions to pending hold. Then, with 3 taps, I froze both kids' stipend accounts, the silent allowance Jasper funded so they'd build dreams without student loans. A warning banner flashed. Notifications sent to secondary users. Good. Next, I booked a lift to Nashville's Ryman Auditorium. Not for a tour, just poetic staging. In the back seat, hydrangea arch scrolling past windows, I filmed a short video, my face serene, champagne flutes glinting beside me. Hello, darlings, I said. Voice low, camera steady. I was informed I'm not family. So effective immediately, the Harris Trust is on pause. Legacy must be earned, not curated. I'll be at the Ryman till 5 if anyone wishes to discuss authenticity. I posted it to their precious platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, tagging Angela's agency and Marcus's investors. 20 minutes later, my phone chimed like revival bells, missed calls, frantic texts, calendar evites titled Urgent Family Meeting. I sipped sweet tea from a tourist kiosk and waited while sponsors wondered where the matriarch disappeared. Outside, church bells tolled 2:00 sharp. Somewhere across town, fake hydrangeas wilted in the Tennessee sun as my children realized savoring roots makes the whole tree tremble. The Ryman's stained glass windows threw ribbons of color onto the foyer floor, bathing the line of tourists buying Opry t-shirts in cathedral light. I slipped into a wooden pew near the back, Jasper's favorite row from the one time we saw B.B. King here. My lilac dress looked out of place among cargo shorts and backstage lanyards, but nobody questioned the grandmother with a rhinestone suitcase and determination for perfume. I balanced the champagne flute box on the seat like sacred offering and watched the notifications roll in. First came Angela's text. Mom, please answer. Something's wrong with the trust account. Investors are pinging me. Then Marcus, why are stipends frozen? We have payroll Friday. Finally, a group chat voice note from both, tinny with echo. We're so sorry, Mama, we didn't mean it. Can we talk? Ceremonies in chaos. Press is asking where you are. I typed one sentence and hit send to both. Authenticity meets me at the Mother Church of Country Music. 15 minutes later, the Ryman doors swung wide. Angela strode down the aisle first, heels clacking. Gown hem gathered to avoid chewing gum on century-old planks. Marcus followed. Tux jacket unbuttoned, phone to ear barking at someone about liquidity. Behind them hovered a rumpled wedding planner clutching a tablet, sweating through linen. Tourists parted, cell cameras up, mistaking the intrusion for some surprise proposal about to go viral. Angela reached my pew, breathless. Mom, what are you doing? Listening to history, I said, nodding toward the stage where a soundcheck guitar chord twanged, and waiting for my family. Marcus sank onto the pew opposite me, We are your family. Can we fix this offline? Sponsors are threatening to pull. I opened the champagne flute box, revealing etched glass that now felt ironic. Offline? You made our love a brand collateral. Let's stay on message. I slid my phone across. On screen shone the trust dashboard. 2 grayed out beneficiary profiles labeled pending review. Beneath, an active tab titled Community Development Fund, balance equal to their combined stipends. Angela's perfectly lined eyes widened. What's that? Seed money, I replied. Jasper set a clause. If heirs neglect the matriarch, funds divert to her chosen charity. I just designated Harmony Acres Youth Farm. I let the name settle. They blinked. Farm? Youth? Marcus's jaw flexed. You can't. Our equity plans. Correction. Jasper could. And he did. Aunt Daisy filed the notice. I tapped a voice memo from Daisy that played loud enough for adjacent tourists. Legal recorded, state stamp pending. Those children better bring knee pads if they want a hearing. Angela's composure cracked. Her hands trembled. We panicked. Okay. The guest list ballooned. Brand reps demanded exclusivity. We thought old school frugality might look shabby. I raised a brow. Frugality? Child, I wore this same dress to your law school graduation, but y'all cropped me out for LinkedIn. She winced. Marcus rubbed his temples. The planner whispered about timelines. Angela waved her off. Mom, please come back. Give a toast. We'll issue a statement. People will forgive if they see unity. Unity means more than hashtags. I leaned forward. Tell me why you turned me away. Angela's voice shrank. We were afraid influential guests might question our image. Image. The word floated like a bad smell. I exhaled. Your image is nothing without roots. You pruned until the tree bled. Now you're fruitless. I stood, hip protesting, and placed the champagne flutes in Angela's hands. Keep these, to remember what fragile looks like. Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced, face blanching. Our live stream comment feed's on fire. Someone leaked the trust freeze. Investors demanding statement. Truth's a good statement, I offered, moving toward the aisle. He looked up. What do you want in return for reversing the diversion? I paused beneath a stained glass panel of a golden harp. Come by Harmony Acres next month. Bring work gloves. Sponsor irrigation systems, scholarship apprenticeships. Sweat with kids who've tasted abandonment. I met their eyes. Earn back the inheritance by planting something that feeds more than algorithms. Angela swallowed. And if we don't? Then Jasper's money grows yams and character instead of your vanity metrics. Silence. The wedding planner mouthed. I'm so sorry. As she scooted past to herd a photographer coalition now roosting by pews, I stepped into the aisle. Tourists applauded. Why? I'll never know. Maybe they sensed scandal healing into backbone. At the exit, Marcus called after me, voice cracking. Mom, will you at least let us drive you? I turned. Cars paid. Flight home rebooked tomorrow. Tonight I'm seeing a blues set, courtesy of my new charity expense account. Angela hugged the flute box like a life vest. We'll think about the farm. That's all thinking ever needed, I said, then softer. I still love you, babies. Love's the soil. Your choices are fertilizer or poison. Outside, Nashville's sun gleamed forgivingly. I dialed Daisy. Seed money's secured, I said. Kids might show up with shovels, might not, Daisy cackled. Either way, sweet potatoes gone thrive. I walked toward Broadway, where neon guitars lit daylight, and for the first time since Jasper's funeral, my step felt syncopated, painful but in rhythm. Behind me, the Mother Church's doors stayed open just a crack, like grace itself, narrow, bright, waiting for prodigals who finally understand the chorus. The clay road to Harmony Acres had never seen so many rental SUVs in one morning. Red dust billowed behind each vehicle like anxious confession, settling on the mailbox where Jasper's faded handwriting still read, Parker Plot 7 by 8 a.m. Every parking spot we'd marked with spray-painted stakes was filled. TikTok teens from Mobile, a Chicago podcast crew Angela had invited for transparency, 2 venture capital interns Marcus dragged along as penance, and Mrs. Ernestine Gale, our octogenarian master gardener, bouncing in her pickup with seedlings strapped in the passenger seat like precious cargo. I stood under a pop-up canopy with Aunt Daisy, clipboard, and sun visor in place, feeling a ripple of nerves I hadn't felt since flight attendant training in '73. "You sure about mixing press with manure?" Daisy asked, squinting at the line of influencers adjusting ring lights against the rising sun. "Manure's honest," I said. "Let the cameras smell real life." The farm looked half dream, half construction site, where weeds once ruled. Raised beds now cut neat stripes across crimson soil, thanks to college volunteers who'd spent spring break here instead of Panama City. At the far end, a shipping container shed blazed sunrise orange under Marcus's new vinyl banner, Harmony Acres Youth Farm, growing roots and rising stars. That part had been Marcus's idea, proof he could trade buzzwords for brushstrokes. Angela arrived last, stepping from a black Escalade in designer overalls that had never met dirt. She held her phone like a shield until she saw me. "Morning, Mama." Her voice carried that shaky brightness people use at funerals and televised apologies. I hugged her anyway. Forgiveness is muscle memory, not emotion. We gathered the crowd near the tool shed for orientation. Cameras rolled, ring lights blinked. I cleared my throat. "Welcome today. One of our irrigation build. If you came for a photo op, you'll leave with mud on your shoes. If you came for redemption, you'll leave with blisters. Both are honest souvenirs." Nervous chuckles. I pointed to Ernestine, who brandished a laminated chart. "Follow Plant Lady here for row assignments." "Lunch is peanut butter sandwiches unless our sponsor," I gestured at Angela, "has a healthier influencer option." Her cheeks pinked, but she spoke. "Smoothie truck arriving at noon, vegan local." Marcus added, "And the interns brought hydration packs. We're serious." Work began. Teens in thrifted boots hammered stakes. Interns unspooled drip line like party streamers. Angela knelt, yes, knelt, in red dirt to plant basil starts for social media before and after reels. A documentary crew asked me for B-roll. I told them to film Daisy reading grant numbers aloud because funding is the soil of activism. By mid-morning, the sun blazed. Sweat glued Angela's silk scarf to her neck. Her phone's Face ID refused to recognize her under streaks of dust. She approached me near the rain barrel installation, voice low. "I need Marcus's help. Sponsors keep pinging something about corporate stewardship deliverables. I can't juggle planting and PR." I handed her a watering can. "Stewardship starts in trenches. Tell them your deliverable is sweet potato slips in July." She sighed but returned to her row. Progress happens one humbled ego at a time. At 11, an unexpected convoy rumbled up. 3 glossy vans emblazoned Legacy, Collective, Angela's brand consultancy. Out stepped 4 executives in matching linen, led by a tall woman with drone camera sunglasses. "Ms. Parker," she greeted Angela, ignoring the mud crusted on those designer overalls. "Content team ready to capture your corporate impact narrative." Angela's gaze darted to me. I thrust Jasper's shovel upright into the soil between them. "Narrative requires consent." The drone lady smiled thinly. "The farm benefits from spotlight." "Spotlight without sweat is theft," Ernestine barked. limping over with her knee braces squeaking. Tourists pressed record on phones. The exec's smile twitched. Angela exhaled. Team put cameras down, she said. Today we dig. To their credit, 2 execs accepted gloves. The sunglasses woman retreated to her van, tapping furiously on an iPad. Marcus's interns whispered that share prices on Legacy Collective's parent company dipped 3 points after a social feed tagged Sweater Step Back, a hashtag birthed by the mobile TikTok twins live streaming the encounter. I almost laughed. Manure travels faster online than in fields. Right before lunch, the inevitable mishap hit. A rented mini excavator, piloted by a nervous intern, clipped the main water line the County Farm Bureau had marked clearly in neon paint. A geyser shot 10 feet in the air, drenching cameras, execs, and Angela's silk scarf alike. Screams, laughter, chaos. I waded through muddy spray to shut the valve. Hips screaming, but spirit oddly giddy. The smoothie truck arrived just then, tires splashing, and the driver, a local woman named Peach, hollered, "Free refills for anybody soaked." Cameras captured Angela laughing, mascara streaked, gulping kale mango sludge while helping Ernestine patch PVC. Marcus used the mishap as impromptu lesson on fluid dynamics for the teens. The drone lady filmed from van windows, captions likely spinning authentic vulnerability. I let her mud told its own truth. Lunch under pecan trees tasted like peanut butter mixed with victory. Teens Snapchatted their CEO sweat check, exposing filthy fingernails. Angela's sponsors flooded her phone with heart eyes emojis. One messaged, "This is the raw storytelling we needed." She looked at me, bewildered joy in her eyes. "Mama," the mess helped. "That's farming, baby. Growth loves a good mess." My phone buzzed. Email from USDA. Harmony Acres approved for Phase 2 education grant, $75,000. No, I pulled Daisy aside. We happy danced, which at our age means cackling and slapping knees. Before volunteers packed up, I gathered everyone by the crooked Harmony Acres sign. Cameras hovered, but I spoke to flesh, not lenses. Family isn't declared by press release. It's built by calluses, healed by rain, and owned by every hand that shows up. Y'all showed up. Come back next month. We'll need you. Thunder rumbled distant like Jasper clapping from heaven. As vans departed, Angela lingered. "Mom," she said, voice hoarse, "about the trust. Could we present a plan, real community deliverables, to earn reinstatement?" "Plans grow better after harvest," I answered. "Finish a season here, then we'll talk." She nodded, slipping the infinity kidney pin I'd gifted from Marcus's charity into her pocket. "See you at dawn next Saturday." I watched her climb into a dusty SUV, sponsor logos peeling under Alabama sun, and wondered if the sweetest crops sometimes sprout in bruised hearts. My hip ached. My dress was ruined, and mud clung to my calves like conviction, but I'd never felt taller. The Alabama sun ripened August air until it tasted like syrup, thick and humming. We marked the first harvest festival for the Saturday closest to Jasper's birthday, figuring he'd like a party where nobody wore black and everybody left with dirt under their fingernails. Flyers printed on the library's razorgraph read, "Harmony Acres Sweet Potato Jubilee, food, music, mud, and spread faster than kudzu. TikTok, church bulletins, the co-op radio station." By dawn of festival day, school buses from Mobile and Huntsville rumbled down the clay road, headlights sweeping dew off the field like stage lights. We'd built makeshift booths from shipping pallets, one for Ernestine's heirloom okra seedlings, another for Peach's neon smoothies, and a main tent where teens sold bracelets woven from drip line offcuts. Angela oversaw a brand redemption selfie wall, hand-painted by local middle schoolers that framed visitors in a giant heart of sweet potato vines. She traded her designer overalls for a thrift store denim jumpsuit and wore mud-like contour. Marcus set up a battery-powered PA on a hay wagon, harmonica slung on a neck rack, ready for his first public performance since the Senate hearing. I opened the festival with a prayer that sounded more like a pep talk. Lord, bless these taters, bless these teenagers, and bless anyone finally learning that sweat is spiritual. A cheer rose, and the picking began. Kids, influencers, and retirees knelt side by side, loosening soil with gloved hands to reveal reddish gold tubers glistening like treasure. Ernestine squealed each time a perfectly formed potato surfaced. The teens filmed her for TikTok, captioning granny goals. By 10 a.m., the parking meadow overflowed. A line of cars idled on the county road, and volunteers waved them to an unofficial overflow. Marcus's rented Tesla parked itself as the first marker, dusty and humbled. The smoothie truck's blenders whirred nonstop. Peach yelled, "Hydration is holiness," which became a chant. Kids repeated between pulls on paper straws. Then, the venture capital storm cloud arrived. 3 black Escalades turned in, crunching gravel like descent. Out stepped Langford Gray, CEO of Pioneer Seed Money, Marcus's largest investor. Tailored linen, aviator sunglasses, expression carved in marble. Flanking him were 2 stern associates with clipboards and a photographer. Marcus stiffened, wiping mud on his jeans before approaching. I watched from the seedling booth, pulse ticking. Gray didn't shake hands. "Marcus," he said, loud enough for phones to capture, "your stipend freeze destabilized the Q3 runway. Board's nervous about your activities." Marcus glanced towards the field where Angela live-streamed kids painting gourds. "These activities?" he asked. "Investors require focus," Gray replied. "Viral farm festivals aren't ROI." Marcus's jaw squared. "I'm repurposing brand equity into social capital. Long-term value beats Q3 vanity." Gray chuckled, a sound like scissors cutting silk. From venture architect to dirt farmer. Interesting pivot. Liquidate or we liquidate you. TikTok microphones hovered. Marcus stepped onto the hay wagon stage, turned on the PA, and addressed the crowd. "Harvest pause. Quick Q&A. Anyone here feel exploited by learning to grow food?" Laughter, shouts of "no." Marcus pointed the harmonica mic toward Gray. "My investor says I must choose money over mud. What do y'all think?" A roar. "Mud!" Gray's lip curled, but the optics were poison. He turned to leave, issuing a curt, "Expect paperwork?" The photographer lowered her camera. Even she sensed the narrative belonged to the field, not the financiers. Angela slid beside me, whispering, "We'll crowdfund if he pulls out." I squeezed her hand. Progress. Just after noon, Daisy waved me to the farmhouse porch, paper in hand, eyes wide. "Remember that legal addendum we never opened?" she said, breath hitching. Jasper's deed came with a sealed envelope labeled Phase 2, open when harvest starts. We'd assumed it was sentimental, but Daisy's probate curiosity won. She'd opened it and found a letter plus a yellowed blueprint. I unfolded the letter. Jasper's looping script steady. "Ronnie, if you're reading this, you turned red clay into purpose. Phase 2 is the spring beneath the property line. Granddaddy capped it in '59 when cotton dried the ditch. Uncap, and you'll have water rights the county will subsidize for any educational farm. P.S. Sweet potatoes love a drink." A map showed a dot behind the pecan grove. My heart pounded like revival drums. Water rights meant year-round irrigation, grant multipliers, a future bigger than tubers. I called Marcus and Angela to the porch, showed them the map. Marcus's eyes lit. "We can drill, install solar pumps. Students could learn renewable tech." Angela hugged me, mud smearing my blouse. "Mom, this is legacy." Her voice cracked on the word she once abused. We announced the discovery over the PA. Cheers erupted. Peach's smoothie lids popped like champagne. Ernestine wiped tears with muddy gloves. The teens started a chant. Let it flow, let it flow. A retired plumber in the crowd volunteered equipment. Local news arranged a live remote for the following week. Gray's Escalade still idled near the exit. Marcus jogged over, map in hand. Cameras captured the moment he offered Gray equal partnership if Pioneer funded the well. Gray removed his sunglasses, sizing up the shouting, the mud, the ROI of goodwill. Finally, he extended a tentative handshake. Send me the deck, he muttered. The crowd booed. Marcus waved them calm. Negotiations just seed selection, he told them. Let's choose fertile ones. As sunset bled orange over collared rows, Marcus climbed the wagon for his harmonica set. He played Jasper's lullaby, notes drifting with pecan smoke barbecue scent. Couples two-stepped on flattened straw. Children juggled sweet potatoes like hot rocks, screaming with delight. I stood beside Angela near the selfie wall, vine heart framing a horizon where promise glowed. You know, she said, voice soft, I used to think legacy was press coverage. She gestured at a teen teaching her little brother to dig. It's actually continuity. I smiled. Continuity built from interruptions we choose not to ignore. My phone buzzed. Message from Colin, the estranged Golden Boy cousin, forwarded by Daisy. Saw the festival on CBS. Proud of you, Auntie. Need guidance on starting a scholarship fund. Call when you can. I pocketed the phone. Grace, it seemed, was contagious. Fireflies sparked as Marcus's final chord faded. Volunteers raised mason jars of sweet potato pie filling. Toasting the next planting season, I lifted mine. To Jasper's hidden spring, I said, may we all uncap what's buried and let good water run. The crowd echoed amen. In that chorus, I felt my children's earlier rejection dissolve into richer soil, proof that some seeds sprout only after a hard, cleansing rain of truth, the runway. Once just red clay and regret, now stretched, glittering into darkness, irrigated by a secret spring and lit by hundreds of tiny, persistent lights, fireflies, camera phones, and human hope. I did not expect the sound of redemption to be a diesel thrum at 6 a.m., but there it was. 2 well-drilling rigs cresting the hill like metal gospel choirs. The county's subcontractor arrived before dawn to avoid August heat, spotlights slicing fog over Harmony Acres. I stood with coffee and Aunt Daisy at the edge of the pecan grove, watching men unload sections of drill stem onto red clay. Jasper once called God's stubborn canvas, the spring we'd found on Jasper's blueprint, Phase 2, sat beneath a thicket of sumac. A retired plumber named Joe, who'd volunteered after the festival, had already staked coordinates with orange ribbons. Today's mission: tap into that underground vein, set a solar pump and run PVC lines to every bed. Once complete, our water bill would drop to near zero, and the USDA's Phase 2 grant would release its final tranche. Marcus arrived next, steering a mud-splattered Tesla towing a trailer of solar panels. He hopped out wearing a reflective vest emblazoned Pioneer X Harmony, proof that Langford Gray's venture firm had opted for partnership rather than lawsuit. Gray himself trailed in a rental pickup, windows up, AC on, face unreadable. I caught Marcus's eye. He winked. Investor Relations 2.0, he whispered. Angela rolled up in a second-hand Ford she'd bought after selling her BMW to fund our greenhouse expansion. She wore steel-toe boots and carried a stack of NDAs for volunteers coding social media coverage. We're protecting the kids' privacy, she told me, tapping the folder. Same corporate diligence, different purpose. Progress. By 7, teens from Mobile and Huntsville had set up breakfast burrito stations. Peach's smoothie truck whirred life into strawberry basil concoctions. Ernestine Gale marched through the crowd like a general, clipboard in one hand, thermos of iced tea in the other. Today, she announced, we learn what living water looks like. The drilling started with a keening whine, then a deep rumble as the auger chewed through loam. Gray flinched each time rocks spat from the borehole, dust coating his tailored loafers. I offered him a bandana. He hesitated, then tied it awkwardly over his nose. First time I'd seen him concede to grime. 3 hours passed. Sweat-saturated shirts, daisy-red psalms over the noise. Teens live-streamed Earth corkscrewing skyward. Then, at 9:43, the rig operator shouted, "Got her!" A geyser of cold, iron-scented water surged, spraying volunteers, dampening Snapchat filters. Shrieks morphed into cheers. Angela's selfie wall, now backdrop to a literal fountain, captured an authenticity no brand summit could buy. Gray removed his bandana, eyes wide. "That's your ROI," Marcus said, clapping him on the shoulder. Gray merely nodded, mesmerized. While crew capped the well and installed the solar pump Marcus had spexed, I gathered the workshop kids under a shade canopy. Today's lesson, water rights and stewardship. We discussed aquifers, drought resilience, legal easements. A shy foster teen named Kiana asked how to secure water for her grandmother's neglected farm lot. I promised to put her in touch with our extension agent, step 1 in multiplying this miracle. At lunch, Peach unveiled iced sweet potato latte, don't laugh, it works, and Ernestine blessed it. Angela's NDAs lay forgotten as volunteers devoured burritos beside venture capitalists in mud-flecked loafers. Harmony Acres looked less like a charity project and more like a blueprint for communities rewriting themselves. Halfway through sandwiches, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, Detroit area code, I answered, expecting some long-lost cousin roused by viral fame, a woman's voice shaky. "Ms. Harris, my name is Mary Collins from Metro General Hospital. Your brother Colin is here. Cardiac event. He's asking for you." Colin, the golden son who aligned with our parents during the vow renewal fiasco, who'd vanished when their finances imploded. We hadn't spoken since his doorstep visit months ago. My stomach flipped. Jasper always preached, "Anger's a muscle, stretch it too long and it cramps compassion." I stepped away from the crowd. "Is he stable?" "They're prepping a stent," Mary said. "He wants you to know he's sorry." Wind rustled pecan leaves overhead. Water pump hummed. Lifeblood of new growth. I saw Angela balancing laptops, Marcus wiring PV inverters, volunteers chanting irrigation math. Family was no longer defined by last name but by shared labor, yet Colin was blood, flawed, and flailing. "I'll fly tonight," I told Mary. She sighed relief. "He'll hold on." Returning to the canopy, I found Angela wiping mud from her phone. I told her. Her eyes watered. "Go, Mom, we've got the farm." Marcus strode over. When he heard, he offered frequent flyer miles. Even Gray muttered, "Private terminal at BNA if you need speed." I hugged my kids. Real family forged through trenches. Watch the well-mined Aunt Daisy. Ernestine saluted. Teens promised to keep live stream alive until I landed. As Marcus drove me to Nashville Airport, dust trailing behind like pages of an old story tearing loose, I reflected. My children once declared I wasn't family. Now they carried legacy because they'd knelt in the same mud. Maybe Colin could too, if life granted him a second harvest. At the departure curb, Marcus pressed Jasper's harmonica into my hand. "In case silence feels heavy," he said. I squeezed his fingers. "Play the lullaby for the well tonight," I replied. He nodded, eyes glistening. Inside the terminal, I texted Daisy. "Drill hit water. Harvest of grace now spreading north. Pray the spring reaches Detroit." She replied with a single emoji, a seedling. I boarded, harmonica warm in my purse, and watched red Alabama clay fade beneath cloud cover. Jasper's hidden spring pumped life into Harmony Acres. Now I carried a smaller spring inside, a willingness to invite even prodigal siblings back to the table, provided they're ready to work the field. Out the window, sun glinted on rivers snaking through farmland. I pictured Colin's hospital bed, the faint beep of machines, and hoped the next sound he'd hear after recovery might be a harmonica note, humble as dirt and bright as living water. Detroit smelled like April rain and brake dust when my plane touched down at 10 p.m. The terminal lights felt dimmer than Nashville's carnival glow, but nostalgia warmed them all the same. Aunt Daisy met me at baggage claim, cane tapping tempo on terrazzo. We rode in silence until the hospital's fluorescent sign pierced night. Metro General Cardiac Wing. I gripped Jasper's harmonica inside my purse. Its cool weight steadied my breath. Colin lay pale against bleached sheets, oxygen cannula hissing. His once perfectly parted hair was damp with sweat. Monitors chirped erratic lullabies. When he saw me, tears spread faster than EKG spikes. I deserve nobody, he rasped. I pulled a vinyl visitor chair close, fighting memories of Golden Boy birthdays, where I'd stood camera in hand, invisible. You deserve oxygen and repentance, I said, squeezing his hand. Minutes stretched while machines measured remorse in beeps per minute. Finally, he whispered, "The heart attack hit during a board meeting." As it tightened, I pictured Mom's vow renewal, you walking out, me laughing at your ruin. Karma used a scalpel. I studied his chart. Blockage cleared, but emotional arteries clogged with old pride. Karma calls overdue invoices, I murmured. He tried to chuckle, winced. I took their side out of habit. Ease beats truth. When Mom and Dad's finances evaporated, they blamed me, said I mismanaged the legacy. There was never legacy. Tears slipped beneath oxygen tubing. I wanted what you have now. Purpose crowdsourcing itself. I unfolded a Harmony Acres brochure from my bag, the one Marcus designed. Sweet potato vines framed our mission statement. Purpose requires dirt under polished shoes. I pointed to the well photo. We drill again next month. Come help. He stared at the image, a muddy column of water erupting skyward. Cardio rehab says I need manageable exercise. He paused. Is Alabama forgiving? Forgiveness grows like collards, slow simmer, plenty of seasoning, I said. Show up, Sweat. The farm will judge your heart better than I can. He nodded, relief and fear braided in his eyes. A nurse nudged in with midnight meds. I kissed Colin's forehead, promised to return in the morning. In the hallway, Aunt Daisy wiped her cheeks. Never thought I'd see that boy soft. I smiled. Water erodes stone, even corporate granite. Back at Daisy's bungalow, I slept on Jasper's old sofa. Rain tapped rhythms on tin awnings. Near dawn, my phone pinged. Video from Harmony Acres. Marcus stood beside the new pump. Sun dawning pink behind him. He played the lullaby. Angela panned the camera to rows of teens chanting, "Good morning, Detroit." I wept quietly, letting harmonica notes stitch distance with hope. Morning rounds confirmed Colin's stent held. Prognosis good if he changed diet and stress. I texted Marcus, brother rehab, farm chores, plus plant-based meals. He replied a thumbs up and seedling emoji. Angela added, investor wants to sponsor cardiac-friendly cooking classes. Humor sprouted where fear once ruled. That afternoon, we FaceTimed the farm. Colin propped pillows, watched teens dig mulch. Ernestine appeared on screen, wagging a trowel. Heard you need cardio. Potatoes raise heart rate just fine. Colin chuckled, color blooming. Sponsorship interns waved charts showing water savings. Gray even leaned in. Muddy ball cap. Hiding silver hair, he saluted Colin with a smoothie. After the call, Colin sighed. I thought legacy meant marble plaques. I shook my head. Legacy is who shows up when machines beep. Discharge papers set rehab in 4 weeks. I arranged flights. Colin to Nashville, then van to Acres. Daisy volunteered to ride shotgun, her cane doubling as metronome for slow walking laps. The night before I left Detroit, we visited our parents' vacant house. Bank foreclosed, windows dark. Colin placed a Harmony Acres flyer in the door crack. Invitation, not gloat, he said. I offered no promises. Legacy chooses willing soil. Back in Alabama, the peaks and leaves had begun turning gold. Marcus met us with the Tesla-turned farm shuttle, now nicknamed Green Lantern after its solar wrap. Colin inhaled earthy air, eyes shiny. Teens greeted him like a celebrity of redemption. They'd seen his hospital clip on TikTok. Charles's heart reset, rehab integrated seamlessly. Morning stretching beneath the pecans, laps along drip line rows, then light hoeing. Angela tracked vitals on an app. Marcus taught Colin to calibrate solar inverters, blending finance brain with dirt maths. Gray hosted a webinar titled Capital That Feeds Communities, citing Colin's recovery story. Investors ate it up. Proof even broken assets yield returns with proper cultivation. One twilight, as frogs tuned up by the new irrigation pond, Colin approached me holding a small box. Inside lay a simple ring, opal set in recycled copper. I pawned the fraternity Rolex, he said. Funds to expand your foster youth stipend. My throat clenched, opal's fragile, I whispered. So's new trust, he answered. I slid the ring on, feeling Jasper smile through cicada song. Festival season returned in October, now dubbed Water and Roots Gala. Colin crossed the wooden stage under string lights, health restored, and spoke. When my artery clogged, I realized my family tree's taproot was love, not pedigree. This farm unclogged both. Applause shook leaves loose like confetti. Marcus launched a harmonica riff. Angela danced barefoot with smoothie kids. Daisy clapped cane to rhythm. I lifted my mason jar of sweet potato cider and addressed the crowd. Once, someone told me I wasn't family. Turns out family is anyone willing to harvest miracles you plant together. Cheers rose, rolling across irrigated rows where sweet potatoes swelled fat in unseen dark, ready for next year's feast. Jasper's hidden spring gurgled agreement, and somewhere above, neon Nashville lights bowed to the humble glow of Alabama fireflies. They always say the third harvest tells you whether a farm's a miracle or a memory. Year 3. November rolled in with pecan shells snapping underfoot and the well pump humming like a hymn. Harmony Acres had sprawled beyond Jasper's original 5 acres into the neighboring field Colin bought at tax auction for $1 plus delinquent fees. 90 raised beds, 2 hoop greenhouses, a teaching kitchen, and a newly poured slab where the county approved our produce washing station. But the biggest proof we'd grown sturdy roots arrived via a cream-colored envelope bearing a wax seal I'd last seen on a wedding invitation 15 years ago. My parents. Mr. and Mrs. Howard Parker cordially invite you to celebrate our 50th anniversary. Across the top, gilded calligraphy shimmered, and below, a handwritten note in Mom's unmistakable script. If you and the children wish to attend, we would be honored. Please forgive the past. Love, Mother. I sat at the farmhouse table, opal ring gleaming under a single Edison bulb, and read the line 3 times. The same woman who once declared I wasn't really family now wielded the diplomacy of longing. Aunt Daisy peeked over her glasses. Looks like pride finally hit the buy one, get one shelf, she said, sliding a tray of roasted sweet potato wedges onto the table. Angela breezed in with a clipboard of influencer metrics. Marcus trailed carrying a box of solar batteries, and Colin limped behind, arthritic ache from his old heart surgery scar flaring now and then. I handed them the invitation. They exchanged glances, the kind that used to signal imminent sibling warfare. Now it looked like triage planning. 50 years is a milestone, Angela said carefully. Milestones can be memorial markers, Colin murmured. Marcus unscrewed a jar of well water, sipped, and finally spoke. We set boundaries. We don't owe attendance, but we owe ourselves clarity. Angela looked at me. Mom, if you go, we go, but only if we bring our truth with us. She tapped her tablet. The Brand folks will foam at a multi-generational reconciliation, but this isn't for them. I traced the edge of the opal ring Jasper would have loved. Let's attend, I decided, but we'll plan a contingency. If cruelty resurfaces, the well of compassion stays here. 3 weeks later, a gray SUV convoy left Alabama at dawn, Colin driving Angela's Ford, Marcus piloting the solar Tesla, teenagers from the farm squished in seats behind coolers of sweet potato pie. Ernestine rode shotgun, armed with traveling collared seedlings, just in case anybody's soul looks wilted. Daisy stayed behind. Someone had to guard the spring, but she sent a bouquet of basil and a voice note. Remember who signs your emotional checks. We reached Atlanta suburbia by nightfall. The venue, Le Grand Magnolia, white uplights, valet parking, guest list of 120 labeled close family. A sign at the drive, please have QR code ready for check-in. I glanced at my kids. This was the same script from that vow renewal fiasco, only gilded. Inside, chandeliers spilled judgment on pressed linens. My mother glided forward in champagne silk. Her hair, once lacquered helmet style, hung in soft curls. Veronica, she breathed, clutching my hands. My father, thinner now, followed stiffly. Marcus's investor instinct scanned the room, saw Cousin Liz and Uncle Greg, both silent watchers. Angela offered a tentative hug. Colin kept distance. 2 years of sweat and humility hadn't erased 30 years of wounds. Thank you for coming, Mom whispered. We've missed so much. My voice felt steady as well water. Missing and mending are different verbs, Mother. Dinner seating revealed our place cards dead center, spotlight or target unclear. During salads, Mom delivered a toast about the enduring strength of family. Her gaze skirted us, landing on a cluster of church friends. I heard the old rehearsed note, the coded language Jasper hated. As long as you fit the picture. Dessert arrived. Store-bought cake with piped roses and H+P 50. Colin flinched. It echoed the generic joy ornament Evelyn once received. I rose, silverware clinking. May I? The room hushed. I spoke plainly. Love is soil. Weeds of pride choke it. Some of us pulled weeds these last years. I gestured to Marcus's calloused hands. Angela's mud-stained boots shown in phone photos. Colin's chest scar. We invite anyone still waiting to visit Harmony Acres to find out how sweat rewrites stories. My mother blinked tears. My father cleared his throat. From across the room, a toddler squealed, Ruth's youngest daughter. Ruth stood, voice trembling. I'll come. She walked toward us. Youngest on her hip, offered me a hug. The dam cracked. Uncle Greg followed. I'm retired. Know my way around irrigation. Cousin Liz. I can teach TikTok marketing, she said sheepishly. The gathering split like a river, people stepping toward new soil or staying at linen tables. My parents stood motionless. Finally, Dad whispered, We don't know how to farm, Veronica. I softened. Neither did we until we knelt down. I extended my hand. Mom reached first. Dad followed. In that clasp, I felt brittle roots ache for water. Start with one Saturday, I said. A skeptical aunt muttered about cults. Angela faced her. Cultivators, Aunt Willa. Laughter rippled, tension easing. That night we loaded collared seedlings into guests' cars along with invitations to the spring planting. Before leaving, Ernestine tucked a seed packet into Mom's clutch. Basil for new beginnings. Back in the Alabama dark, we parked at Harmony Acres gate. Fireflies blinked above rows. Colin touched the fence post. They might never dig, but the seeds are in their pockets. Marcus switched off the engine. Legacy delivered. I walked to the well. Moonlight silvered the water at the overflow pipe. I raised Jasper's harmonica and played the lullaby, notes merging with cricket song. Behind me, I sensed footsteps. Angela, Marcus, Colin. They hummed along. The spring gurgled steady, promising that forgiveness, like water, waits only for the hand that opens the valve. 2 springs later, Harmony Acres felt less like a humble teaching farm and more like a living atlas. We had partner plots in Nairobi, a rooftop greenhouse in Sao Paulo, and a sister well drilling outside Flint, all funded by a social impact bond Marcus and Angela engineered while washing mud off their laptops. Teens who once wandered Alabama clay now traded WhatsApp videos with Kenyan students on compost ratios. Ernestine joked she needed a passport for her knee braces. Global reach hadn't uprooted local rituals. Every Saturday at dawn, a gong fashioned from an old tractor disc rang the start of chores, and Jasper's hidden spring answered with its steady hiss of abundance. This particular Saturday, late March, the gong summoned 2 new volunteers who looked wildly out of place in the dusty light. My mother in a lavender windbreaker and Skechers still sporting price tags, and my father gripping a thermos like an anchor. They'd taken 6 months of Saturday rain checks but stood at the gate now, basil seeds sprouting guilt in their pockets. Colin met them with gentle directives. He'd become our rehab coordinator turned farm fitness coach and handed them gloves. Mom winced at the soil smell. Dad adjusted his straw hat as if dignity required correct tilt. "Where do we start?" he asked. Colin pointed to a bed of winter-weary collards. "Weed rows, loosen roots, replant seedlings." Simple, humbling. I kept distance, watching from the produce washing station while Angela conducted a live stream with Sao Paulo partners. Marcus anchored a call with Nairobi about solar pump maintenance. Around noon, Peach's smoothie truck blared, "Lean on me," as she blended turmeric mango sunshine. The farm buzzed like a hopeful hive. I glanced up to see Mom actually kneeling in mud, prying stubborn crabgrass. Dad hovered, then crouched to follow, their backs bent. Complaints lost in the whir of progress. When Peach smoothie break was called, Mom shuffled over, mud streaked across lavender nylon like war paint. "The collards fought me," she panted. "Crabgrass fights everybody," I said, handing her a mason jar of sweet potato iced tea. She gulped, eyes watering, not from the spice. "I never imagined," she began, voice cracking. Words failed, but the tear that slipped past her mascara said enough. Just after lunch, a courier jeep kicked up dust down the road, special delivery envelope from a Birmingham law firm whose letterhead I recognized, Aunt Willa's estate attorneys. Willa, the skeptical aunt who'd grumbled about cultivators, had passed quietly weeks earlier. No children. A modest trust rumored to be all antiques and uncashed savings bonds. The gathered board, Angela, Marcus, Colin, Daisy, via Zoom, and me, opened the envelope beneath the pecan canopy. Inside, a notarized addendum to Willa's will. To Veronica Harris and the Harmony Acres Cooperative, I leave my entire portfolio of Parker Timber Company shares, currently valued at $2.4 million on the condition that the cooperative never sells the ancestral forest land. It must remain a teaching ground for stewardship. Gasps sifted like pollen. Timber shares, sizable and illiquid, also included stewardship of 1,500 acres. 3 counties north, land my great-great-grandfather once logged, left wild since the Depression. Responsibility heavier than money. Gray, now a board advisor, joined the huddle, eyes wide at potential eco-credit revenues. Marcus spoke first. We honor Willa's directive. Forest becomes a living classroom. Angela nodded, typing a press release about regenerative forestry, but Mom's face tightened. That land, it's where Daddy's cousins hunted, where I courted your father. Dad's eyes misted. It's sacred. Fear flickered. Would they resent us for inheriting guardianship? I reached for Mom's mud-stained hand. Come co-steward with us. She blinked. Even after. I squeezed. Collared beds forgive, forests will too. 2 weeks later, a caravan of pickups and the Tesla, now dust camouflaged, snaked north to the timber tract. The forest dogwoods bloomed white. Understory carpeted in fern. We held a naming ceremony. Colin puffing on inhaler after the mile hike. Daisy read Willa's words aloud beneath an ancient longleaf pine. Mom placed the basil bouquet at its roots. We christened the land Willa Woods Learning Preserve. Our parents surprised us by donating their suburban home equity toward a rustic bunkhouse for visiting students. They sold the wine fridge too. Legacy has better terroir than Cabernet, Dad quipped. In return, Angela added them to the farm's advisory council. Titles: Heritage Stewards. They blushed like newly minted interns. Global attention followed. A Norwegian documentary crew arrived, filming my parents teaching city kids to score pine cones for seed collection. Mom's manicure was a lost cause, but her laughter rang clear among pines. Dad demonstrated compass use, telling each child, "Find true north before you walk." At dusk, the crew captured Marcus playing the harmonica lullaby, notes folding over rustling needles. Months rolled into the third sweet potato jubilee, now doubled as Willa Woods' grand opening. Instead of gilded invitations, we mailed seed packets, plant it, post it, tag, roots run deep. Thousands of tags bloomed across feeds, seedlings in Chicago windowsills, Nairobi rooftops, Detroit rehab centers. On the gala night, Jasper's spring-fed pond reflected string lights zigzagging the rows. Gray's investors mingled with foster teens, city councilwoman with TikTok gardeners. Mom wore jeans for the first time in my memory. Dad's straw hat sported a farm intern pin. We led guests to a bonfire ring where Angela unveiled a plaque. Harmony Acres and Willa Woods, a legacy of labor, love, and living water. Mom traced the engraved letters, eyes shimmering. Our family name never looked truer, she whispered. Colin tossed a pine cone into the fire, symbolic carbon to fuel the future. Ernestine, cane tapping, declared, "You can't rewrite yesterday, but you sure can mulch it." Laughter rose. I stepped to the circle's center, harmonica resting against my chest, and spoke over crackling flames. Once, the word family was used as currency, spent to exclude. Today, it's a seed sown in every willing hand. If you kneel in this soil, if you learn from this water, you're kin. Cheers join the night chorus. I played Jasper's lullaby one final time, each note spiraling into pine-scented air. As music faded, I spied fireflies dancing above rows that had grown from heartbreak, water that flowed from hidden depths, and faces alight with embers of shared purpose. The runway of red clay, once walked alone, now stretched into forest and beyond, illuminated by harmonica notes, basil blossoms, and generations unafraid to kneel in dirt to find their truest height.